A very good evening to our respected head of the department, Dr. Sandeep S. Shenoy, our esteemed speaker for the day, Dr. V. Raja Sridharan, Dr. Vikram Balika, BCom Program Coordinator, Placement Head, and my dear colleagues and participants on YouTube platform. On behalf of Department of Commerce, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal, I extend a warm welcome to you all. Department of Commerce was established in the year 2007 with the launch of its flagship undergraduate business program specializing in banking and finance. The department subsequently introduced more innovative undergraduate and postgraduate business programs. Today, the Department of Commerce offers courses in BBA, BCom, MCom, MSc, MA Digital Marketing, PGD, IPM Integrated Program for Management, PhD programs under the able leadership of Dr. Sandeep S. Shenoy. Department of Commerce team proudly presents you all the international online webinar on data analytics for non-coders. I now request our department head, Dr. Sandeep S. Shenoy, to deliver his opening remarks and declare the session open. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Matthew, for the initial introduction. And we are very happy to introduce this international webinar on data analytics for non-coders. And I'm very happy to share with you that this webinar has the registration of almost participants from 37 countries. And there are about 214 participants from these 37 countries, apart from a good number of participants from India. So that itself shows the spread of the participants in terms of their diversity. At the same time, it also shows the attractiveness of the topic which is being delivered. So apart from being the resource persons whom we have today, that is Dr. Raja, a versatile resource person who has a lot of experience in the area of data analytics. He has good research record, and at the same time, he has good hands-on experience in different domains related to analytics, and also have worked in various areas of quality management. So we have a very diverse audience for Dr. Raja today, and we are happy that as Department of Commerce, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, we are able to deliver these value-added programs to all the participants across the globe. That is a very happy event for us, and we are also happy to be associated with Dr. Raja for delivering this session. And I'm sure all of you in the next one and a half hours will get a lot of inputs in this particular domain, which is very critical in today's world because data analytics is a very big buzzword. And especially for those people who are non-coders, we need to know what exactly it is there, what is there in this for us, so that we can take advantage of this new emerging area and try to uplift or upgrade our knowledge. So with the resource persons like Raja, we definitely will be having a lot of opportunities to do that. And we are happy as Department of Commerce to offer you. I should appreciate the efforts put in by Vikram, Baliga, and Matthew. Matthew primarily in terms of organizing this entire session and making sure that everything is smoothly organized. So with these few words, I welcome all of you to this webinar on data analytics for non-coders. And I request Vikram to formally introduce the resource person of today, Dr. Raja Sridharan. Over to you, Vikram.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sandeep. Matthew, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. It's a privilege to introduce Dr. Raja Sridharan, who is working as an assistant professor in the Rabat Business School, University International de Rabat. Before joining Rabat Business School, he worked in the AACSB institution, Amrita University, India. He has undertaken his doctoral research at Department of Industrial Engineering, Anna University, and has his PhD in the field of Lean Six Sigma. Before joining Amrita School of Business, he has worked as a faculty at Anna University. As a faculty, he has taught manufacturing system and processes, facilities planning and layout, business research methods, manufacturing technology and data analytics for both at the master's and the undergraduate programs. He has garnered rich corporate experience with Apollo Hospital as an external auditor for 5S implementation and process engineer in Volvo. He has taught internationally in countries like Dubai, France, and Morocco, and has published articles on business transformation. He has 7A category journal to his credits in ABDC journals. Being a core researcher, he has published 29 research articles in Scopus between 2015 to 2020 and has 253 Scopus citations with an overall H index of 9. His current research interests are centered in the field of lean services, quality management, healthcare operations, and Industry 4.0. With this brief profile of Dr. Raja, which is heavy on research and analytics, I request him to continue the session.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Dr. Raja.
Thank you, sir. So once again, it's a pleasure to have this wonderful talk on this day, sir. So without further ado, let us go to the topic for discussion today. So Matthew, sir, can you engage the screen?
Yeah, 1 minute. Raja sir, yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, you can see my screen, right? Okay.
Yes.
So very bonjour, salam alaikum, namaste, konnichiwa, and I welcome all of you today for a wonderful discussion on this data science. So what is data science, what we are facing today, and why this topic is very relevant today. So these are some of the things that we are going to discuss today. At the end of this discussion, we are going to have a few demo of this software package. The software package that we are going to discuss today is called Nine, which is a open source software, free of cost. You can download and install it in your system. It has both Windows, Mac, and Linux version, and it is available only in English, and it comes from the Zurich, Switzerland. And it's a very easy software because the reason we are learning the software, it has a very short learning curve. So this is the entire agenda for today's discussion. So let us start for today's session on this data science. So when we talk about data science, the first thing, as my suggestion to most of you, is we should have a lot of inputs from industry people, because in industry we can actually try to understand what is the really issues that we are happening today. So that was one of my inspiration for data science. And second thing is the domain expert. Me being from a mechanical engineering background and later becoming into the logistics, I still need some expertise from the people who are from computer science and manufacturing systems. So further ado, some of the people like Gibson Daniel, who is a data scientist in ChargeBee, Rajkumar Reddy, who is a data analytics modeler from Ford India, Janil Persis, who is a data scientist again, and also assistant professor from NITI Bombay, and Mr. Gopu Kumar, he is also a data scientist from the Amrita University. These people have done phenomenal works on data science, and they have explored different packages. So we had a quite long discussion, and we found out this Nine package could be a good package to discuss for today's discussion because of its feasibility in learning, resource, as well as the tutorial available online. At the same time, in terms of the learning curve, it requires a very steep learning curve, and it can be easily learned from a undergraduate level to a PhD level, and it has huge implication both in the academician level and the practitioner level. So what is data science? So this is a quite a buzzword, like nowadays everybody talks about data science, but in simple words, like you have a domain where we need some kind of a resource and we need to take some active decision making without any ambiguity. Second thing is there is some kind of a data involved. Nowadays, as you know, the most richest resource is not gold or oil. It is like more than that, it's called data, because data nowadays is very useful in developing a lot of insights. So, and for this insights, we need a good programming skill. So all these three converges together to form something called data science. And it is not unidirectional. Like there are a lot of things in data science which you have to know. In simple terms, getting a unstructured data into a structured data and taking useful decisions from the data is what entire data science is about. And it has various attributes like in terms of business applications, communication, research, as well as in terms of the nature of the data, which is managed by the statistical applications. So moving on, or artificial intelligence and data science are related. So there are a lot of overlapping. A lot of people think there is an overlapping, but I've just put it in a simple image like data science, deep learning, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So under the artificial intelligence, you have the all the subsets like the machine learning, deep learning, and data science, and each of them have their own outcomes. Like in some are involved in problem solving, knowledge representation, reasoning, as well as in terms of activating the data insights. For example, if you take a deep learning model is highly used for developing intelligence applications, mostly like the prediction of cancer cells, enhancing the imaging of a CT scan. Whereas in terms of artificial intelligence, we mostly focus on the autonomous system and cyber securities, as well as in machine learning, it's more broadly applied in academic as well as the practitioner perspective. So each of these things has their own use and as well as their pros and cons. So I'll try to cover as much as possible in the given period of time. So what are the myths? Like a lot of myths are there. So first myth you should understanding is data science or the machine learning, that's in another acronym, cannot do everything. Like it's like it definitely requires human intervention. It is one of the tools that will help you to find solution in a forest of opportunities. So that is the first thing. Second thing is if a human intervention is required, so it always starts with how the data is collected, what the data can do, and how it can be collected, and from where to collect. So this is a very critical aspect. So after you do that, the very challenging part is how we can process the data and come up with some viable pattern or trend or some kind of analysis, eventually which leads to a visualization. Based on this visualization only, we can go for a modeling. So this is the overall aspect from a data science perspective. So this is quite important part. Next comes is like machine learning does not do everything. See, end of the day, it is just a machine. So what you tell it to do, it will be done. So how does it been done? It has a limitation in this role. So that's where human intervention is required. And for the data science, we mainly focus on data. See, the very big thing for a data science is we require a huge volume of data. The reason is when the volume of data is more, okay, the predictive analysis, the prescriptive analysis, the descriptive analysis, or the prescriptive analysis, all this kind of analysis requires humongous data. And based on that only, we can develop a useful insights, which has both theoretical implication as well as practical implications. And it is always focusing on the return of investment. From you talk from any investment, either it is a learning process where you try to get a degree or a certification, or it is a business application where they try to use a data science. They always focus on the return of investment. Like if I do this, what will I get back? So data science is not something that you can immediately focus on those aspects. It is more like a journey where you have to go through the journey to get the full benefit of it. Second thing is most of the time in challenging is the data and insight. See, for example, if you don't understand the underlying pattern in the data given to you, it's very difficult to develop any actionable insights. The last thing is the noisy data. Noisy data is another word, we call it as the unstructured data. So there is, according to a report by the World Economic Forum, they say that 80% of the data scientists, they just work on the data cleaning process. So you can see how much noisy data, the unstructured data is generated in different system and repositories. So this is quite challenging. So next, if you see why data science is very useful and as well as it's widely appreciated. So the reason is it has to be a reliable data source first. Second thing is the amount of data should be clean and it should be available. And the third aspect is a person should be trained in it. So that is where the challenge comes. The person should be skilled. And the fourth one is like you should have the resource and the capacity to develop an insight. So based on the insights, somebody should be able to recognize and appreciate what you have done. So that is very important aspect. And why we need data analytics is, in simple words, you cannot predict the future. but you can always predict what is tomorrow, and you can try to invent the results for tomorrow. So that's what mainly it tries. And in a typical any, whether it is a research or in a business aspect, the end agenda is to focus on the tomorrow's prediction and try to minimize the damage or try to minimize the uncertainty. So this is where it comes to the play. And obviously, most of them focuses on the business vision and vision for any organization given. So why data science is popular today? So data science is popular because of one main reason. I know that the boom of internet made the data availability very easy, and it's available across different domain. Second thing is it's easy to convert the data into developing actual insights, which is very quick and efficient. And industries are nowadays using data as their main backbone and try to reduce the risk and opportunities. And the last is the management of different assets, and data is very crucial in managing all these assets. And further to add to this, so why data science is popular? So in terms of popularity, it is popular because the data science availability of data has become very easy because the devices are becoming more powerful, at the same time they're cheaper. And second thing is the cost of getting huge number of data, and computing power for the data has become very less. So for example, you can get a computing power that is GPU of 100 times more capable with a lesser cost, which is not possible a decade before. Second is the companies are focusing on data science driven projects to ensure maximum return of profit. And also we are getting high performance computers that can do the over the period of task in a short span. For example, the inclination towards quantum computing, as well as you have the hardware devices like Lambda, which can do high performance machine learning predictive models in a short period of time. So as we move on, also you have to know the right to information. So as you could see nowadays, democratization of hardware and software is quite common. We are in the era of plug and play, where no more hidden agenda can be seen, and the certain aspects of the data are easily available. And we are in era of open source, my dear guys. So there's so much open source, starting from the GitHub, Kaggle, as well as the application wise in terms of TensorFlow and PyTorch. They have wide range of application and developing aspect, which is limitless. Like it's up to your limitless of your imagination, which can easily comply and optimize a lot of issues and try to come up with business results for all kind of hardware and platform related aspects. And as you could see now, a very single data scientist task has been done. It can become as a template, which could be stored in a cloud server and which could be later retrieved back for any business application in the coming years. So, what does a person need to know before entering into data science? So, see, the first thing is the domain. See, for example, I work more in the operations management and logistics. I explore more in my domain, like what are the business problems. So, I try to convert the business problem into statistical problem and try to develop the tools that are helpful and try to provide solutions in statistical aspects and try to convert the statistical solution into a business solution. So for this, I have my domain expertise. So that is the first thing, guys. No matter which domain you work right now, because due to the data generation in all domains, you should have the domain expertise, like what you're planning to do and what is your project is about. Second is the analytic is it's about enhancing one's scope. It has a higher employability rate when compared to any new aspect that you're trying to learn. This is validated from different websites like the Khan Academy, Coursera, and other websites that you can explore later. And from an organizational point of view, most of the organizations nowadays are moving towards a paperless environment because they're focusing on the sustainable aspect and also digitalization. So data science is highly becoming in demand. And second thing is for a judgmental call, because once you become a domain expert, you can try to extract a lot of information and try to give a quick solutions for any given problem. Second, the standardizing the benchmarking of data is also very critical in most of the aspects, and most of the practitioner need this help. Yeah, it's obviously in the academician part also, but more practitioners need this help, and this is where data science actually complements them. And data science is quite diverse in its nature, but it depends upon one's individual skill to learn it. So this is where I thought, like, why? Okay, if you really want to go and be data scientist, okay, so imagine the people who cannot learn the coding, or those who are not interested in coding, or those who doesn't want to learn the coding aspect. So what is an alternative? So this is where the discussion started. So we had a discussion initially with Professor Matthew, and also the people I told us, oh, those are my inspirations. So this is how we plan this entire program. So then is providing decision making, as well as the same time data science helps you in providing solution and problems as per the demand. So to summarize, so this is the overall step. So it can be classified in 4 levels. One is the data collection aspect, data processing aspect. Then from the data processing, we can come up with the data exploratory analysis. From the exploratory analysis, we can focus on the modeling aspect. So this is how it works. Okay, what are the knowledge is required for a data scientist? So basically, if you see, programming knowledge is required for the employees who work as a data scientist. But apart from that, imagine you're a frontline worker in any industry, you're an academician or business analyst. Understanding the problem or the research agenda is more important than the coding knowledge. And next is you have to have more understanding of the observations, and you have to take a conscious call on whatever model that you're developing for any given problem. So these aspects push people on something like data science can be mix of everything. Or in, I think I remember a famous quote people used to say, nowadays people are expecting you to be Da Vinci. Da Vinci is a person who is an inventor, who is a painter, who was a teacher, who had a multitude of skills. So that cannot be the same thing for everybody in this world. So there are a lot of aspects we need to see when you want to learn data science. So it should be easy, quick. At the same time, the learning curve should be simpler. So that's why we focus on this agenda. But having a programming knowledge is quite challenging. But if you don't want to have a programming knowledge, still, how can you deliver results for a given problem? So what can we do if you don't have the interest towards programming? So if you don't have a programming knowledge, it's not an issue. You can still go with the data science aspect. We have a lot of drag drop tools which can perform the data analysis for anybody. But before going into that, you have to remember these are the following points. Definitely you need domain expertise. You cannot just blindly open any project and work on it. Second is the overall idea, like how a process starts. So as I told you, a flow chart, it starts with the data collection, then how do you categorize the data, then how do you do the exploratory analysis, from which how do you develop a model. Then definitely there is no alternative for this, but you should have a basic statistical knowledge, which is quite enormous in detail. So which you need to know, like for example, what is a nominal data, what is a categorical data, what is a continuous data, what are the issues with the center of a median law, and all those things. You have to central tendency. So like this, each of this constraint has to be learned, and what is the minimum sample size, so what is the t value, what is the z value for any given constraints. So all these basic things has to be known from a statistical point, and from a machine learning point of view, the very most fundamental is confusion matrix. Confusion matrix is true positive, true negative, and false positive and false negative. From this, we try to identify the accuracy level of any given prediction model, as well as the precision, sensitivity, and error value. So these are the basic, very few fundamental things that you need to know when you want to start a basic analysis. And you should have a basic interpretation knowledge of this. So obviously the software can do the output and analysis, but you should be able to interpret from that. So that is where the statistical aspect is very strong. That's why I've even highlighted that. Then judgment on various visualization and tools. So like I said, this NIME software, we can have the power of doing an analysis, visualization, customization, developing the predicting models, machine learning, as well as web-based applications. So it can do all in one. And at the end of the day, it's like more like a storytelling guy. So if you have a huge number of data, how you're able to develop a story and try to explain it to the people. That's where the real art is. And it's we call it as dashboard or the storyboard. So which you can do it eventually in this package. And it creates more insights, that is the results, and have a clear idea of what your project or vision is. So that's how the project has to go forward. And if you're spearheading the project, how can you ensure that people understand the problem and try to provide meaningful solutions? So what are the different tools available, guys? So I will just categorize them accordingly to their preference. So first we start with the non-coding environment. So first one is the NIME. NIME is a company, is a pharmaceutical company which is based in Zurich. They started this package in the early 2000s, and the package is more user friendly, and it's open source software, and it is widely available, and it's available only in English, which you can use it and try to explore more about it. Then there is a software called Exploratory, Alteryx, H2O.io, IBM Watson, Alexa, Lex, Zeta Robot, and etc. For most of these softwares, you need not require any in-depth coding knowledge, and most of the descriptive analysis and predictive analysis can be done with a very short span of time. As far as if you go to going deeper into predictive prescriptive analytics, it does require a little bit of a coding knowledge, or at least linking some preferences through the APIs. And next comes the spreadsheet and the business intelligence tools, so Microsoft Excel, which is the recent one, which also has the option for Power Query. Then comes the Power BI, Google Sheet, Tableau, and QuickView. These focus on very minimum coding knowledge, but still you have to work with a different interface, and they are one of the best tools for overall business solution and visualization. Then we talk about the programming language. So the very common one is R and Python, which is universally uploaded, and we have the customized one like the SAS, which is a paid version, MATLAB, Vika, and Mathematica. So all of them have their own applications based on them, but each of them has a specific set of syntax. Like there is a standard procedure to evaluate them. So without understanding those aspects, and you cannot do it. And some of this aspect is different for each. For example, the syntax function and the member function and the function that you use to call a program function or a library function in R is not the same thing that you apply in other functions like Python, SAS, and MATLAB. Each of them has a little tweaking and uniqueness. And last one, in terms of database management, we have the high performance stack, which is Hadoop and Spark, which highly focuses on the high performance data for bigger data samples, which could not be done in the most of these cases. So this is the overview of the most of the programming tools to become an expert in data scientist. So let us move on, guys. So what are the different roles? I think you already know the different roles. So if we can start as a data scientist, which is interpreting the data and trying to come up with a solution based on some mathematical logic, that is obviously the statistical aspect. Then becoming as a data analyst, which examines the data and finds the trend and pattern in the data. Then you become the data engineer, so where we focus more on developing of models. And then you become as a machine learning engineer who is just focusing on the performance of the data and also try to make a balance with the prediction model. And the last one is a decision scientist. Decision scientist one is the one who takes care of the lead of most of the projects and also gives a judgmental call of how the projects are done and how can the decision be valid or invalid for any given problem. So what way we do the analytics? So basically, as I told you, descriptive analytics, starts with the basic understanding of the correlation pattern, trend, or any of the past analysis of the data. And based on this descriptive analytics, next goes to the diagnostic analysis. It's like we try to find an anomaly in the data rather than the pattern. Then comes the predictive analytics. So based on this first two stages, like the descriptive and diagnostic, what we can think is how can you come up with predictive analytics, so which can be used in the future. And next one is a prescriptive analytics. It's more like developing of a models or application, a web-based application, which can take the insights from the predictive, diagnostic, and descriptive and come up with an application model for any users, which is more prescriptive of its nature. So this is the overview of the various techniques. So as we go to the today's package 9, so this is the package. It's an open source software. And this is the meaning of its Costan information miner. So as we go on, the new version is I think 4.4.2, which you can update and load it. So why 9? Because Wine is one of the most powerful analytic tools that can be used for the data analysis. And it can do basically most of the text data analysis as well as the quantitative data analysis. And it's very easy to create because it focuses on workflow, which is like more like developing a flow chart. And once the flow chart is developed, it's easy and very important. It's open source, so you do not invest too much money to use this software. So that is the main aspect. So once you launch the software, initially you have this kind of a window, which we are going to show you in a demo. So once you have this, you can actually see the screen like this. So I'm just going to give a quick overview, then we'll go into the software package. So first it starts with the Explorer. As you could see, it's in the, I mentioned it here, it's in the top right, top left corner. And next comes with the node repository, which is just below the top left corner. And the repository is a very important place because this is where you will try to find most of the command. And workspace is the place where you'll try to draw the given flow chart and we try to develop our results. And description is you can try to have whatever description that you're doing. And in the console, you can see what are the updates that you're getting. And the last one is the outline. Outline is like a minimized version of the workspace where you can see what is the entire flow of this flowchart that you have developed. So for the first thing, we are going to focus on the data science aspect. So we are going to focus on data wrangling. Data wrangling means data cleaning. So for this, I have taken a very big data file, which is almost around 500,000 rows, or in other terms, it's 5 lakh rows. So it has huge number of data. So we are quickly trying to do this following options, and we are going to see how efficiently we can do it. Just a second, let me open the package.
Raja sir, that hide button, can you click on that hide button? Yeah, that the screen share is the hide. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can you see my screen, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, guys, so imagine once you install the software, it would ask you where to launch. You can just give next. After that, it will be something like this. If you give you open, it will ask you what you want to do. Okay, then it will ask you a select wizard. In the select wizard, choose a new name workflow, because what we're going to do here is a workflow. You can select a new workflow and give next. Once you give next, it will ask you what you want to do. So let us give the project. So I'm planning to do two different exercises. I'll start with the exercise one. Once you name it, it will ask you the destination. By default, it will be local. So you can just leave it with local, and if you click finish, you will get a workspace which is ready for you to work. And most of you guys, I'm trying to make it as smooth as possible. But if you skip something, not an issue. This entire session is recorded, so you can view back it later. So you can just observe what I'm trying to do here. So first stage is in this, it's as I told you, we have all our Explorer, we have the node repository, and I always make sure that the workspace is more eligible and neat to see. You can minimize them accordingly, options that you needed. So first is like I told you, right? I'm going to try a very simple data cleaning exercise. So for this, first is I have an Excel file. Okay, the Excel file is here. You can see the exercise one. The Excel file is here. What I'm going to do is I'm trying to enter this Excel file here, so which is I'm trying to import it. In order to import this Excel file, all you have to do is you can go to this node repositories. You can see the different options, guys, like it's IO, input and output, manipulation, view, analytics, BD, database, and other type structure, scripting. You have a lot of options here. So I'm just going to keep it simple. I go to input and output. So because I want to get an input, right? So that now I want to read something because I want to get it inside. So here, how they develop this option is more like directly in English. If you know what you're trying to do in simple words, you can actually find the commands here. So it is that easy. So in this, if you see, first one is the Excel reader. You can click it. You will get it here as an icon here, or the exact word for this is called as node. Okay, I can just select this and delete it. Ask you, okay. There is a second way to do this, that's why. You just go here and type Excel reader. You can see you can get it. So, and it shows it is in the input and output read. You click it, you get it. So, and this node works on a concept of a like a traffic signal, guys. So first, if you open any node, it will be read with an indication saying error. So whenever you have an error, you just keep your mouse icon over it. You can see no source location provided. Please enter a valid location. So like this, whenever you have an error, if you just keep it over that, it will give a detailed information like why that error is happening. So now, as I told you, like a traffic signal, it is in red. Once you configure this, it will become yellow. And once you execute that, it becomes green. So since it is now red, let us go and configure this. So right click, always remember configure. So once you configure it, it opens a new tab. In this tab, there are a lot of options to keep it very simple and easy for you guys. Remember, it will have a red highlight that says what you have to look for, and it requires your attention. For example, please specify a location. It has red. Other than that, could not load file, no path specified. So these are the two red things that you can find in this menu. So try to address to this. So first, let us try to do this. Please specify a location. So you go to browse. In the documents, I have put the file. So the exercise one, you click it, it's loaded. can select which sheet it is. So it's already the first sheet. So here in the bottom, as you could see, loading input file is already going. So we wait for a few minutes, let it load. It takes time because of the number of rows. As I told you, it has a 500,000 rows. It takes a lot of time. So that's it, it's done. And you can see the preview of the data. Notably, this is the first common mistake a lot of people do. If you can just look at this row ID, you find it as column 0, column that is call 1, call 2, call 3, that is nothing but column 3, column 4, column 5. And if you see the row 0, you have the actual header for each of the column, that is invoice number, stock order, description, quantity. Why it is showing like this is, here there is an option that is column name. In column name, you have say table contains column name in row, which row, and it has the other option. So you have to give the tick mark and you have to choose which column. So in our case, the first row is the header. So if you forget to do this, you don't get the name for the columns, the header names. So after this, now you see a red indication shows that preview table is out of sync with current settings. Please refresh. So once you refresh, in a matter of seconds, now you see it's highlighted. So this is the first stage, guys. We are trying to input the Excel file into the package, and you can see all the rows are widely given here. So that's, as I told you, it's a big file, so I need not scrolling down to the end. So once it is done, I give apply, I give OK. So before I'm this, I'm repeating, guys. We imported the data from the path where we have the data file. Then make sure you give the column name correctly. And also you have to choose which data sheets you have. So for my case, I have only one data sheet, but if there are multiple sheets, you can use the option to choose the data sheet. Then you can quickly go and check the refresh button so that you get the right output, which you can preview here. So once it is good, give apply and give OK. Now you can see from the red, it has changed into yellow. So next you can right click it, and now the configure is already done. You can execute it. So once you give execute, you can see it here. If you keep the mouse over that, you can see it takes time and it tries to read all the rows that is available in the given data file. Now it has finished reading. Now it is writing the files. Yeah, it's done now. It shows in green color. So everything is ready. So if you right click, you can see the output table. So this is the output, guys. You can see there are around 531,276 rows, and the entire row and the corresponding columns are clearly given here. So as for the data cleaning, let us start with the stage one by one. So I'm going to introduce the first option. First option is, imagine in this we have different countries, actually United Kingdom, Netherlands, UK, etc. What I'm trying to do is I want to just filter the column country which just has United Kingdom. So again, I'm repeating, guys, the column country has a lot of countries, and I'm going to filter just United Kingdom. Here, if you see the entries is row wise. So for the column country, the entries of the row, I'm going to filter it. So I'm just going to filter the row that is having United Kingdom. So for this, what I have to do, you remember, so you can go to the input and output, you can choose the options here, or in simple terms, we are just going to use row filter. Just try to type that. Once you type it, see, you get the first one, row filter, very easily. If you click it, it will come. So you can take this arrow from this and you can link it here. This is usually very cumbersome to do for everything. So what you can do is, you can do it in another way. Just select this node, and here if you type row filter, you get the row filter. Just double click this, it will automatically draw it for you. You need not repeat the entire thing. So once now it is linked, you see again it shows the error, no row filter specified. So right click, configure, And you see already all the options are here. So here the column value matching. So as I told you, we have different columns. I'm choosing the country, which I'm planning to filter. So in this filter, the agenda here is like I want to choose the values for UK. So I just want the values from United Kingdom. So from this, there are a lot of options there, but my suggestion is you can quickly take it to United Kingdom. Then include row value by attributes value, exclude row value by attributes value. So here imagine if you choose United Kingdom, we want to have the data just for United Kingdom. So include row by attribute value. Click apply. So give OK. So you can see now that it's in yellow and it's ready. So right click and execute. So once you execute, you can see everything is done. Right click and now you can see here the output as filtered. If you click it, you can see here only the country United Kingdom is there. Everything is been filtered. It's been filtered by the row filter. Okay, so we have cleaned the first column. Let us think about the second column. See, the second column is customer ID. In this customer ID, there are a lot of informations. But to keep it in simple words, we have the customer ID means we have some entry which corresponds to a customer ID. So if the customer ID is missing means you cannot retain those data because it has to be reference to the actual customer. So the best thing what we can do is we can remove the missing values. And you can see the question mark is nothing, but if we keep it over the question mark, it says missing values. So what we can try to do for the customer IDs, which can remove all the missing values in the column customer ID. So again, you can go back and choose the, this time I'm trying to do it in a different way. Choose the row filter and connect it. Again, it's like yellow. Right click configure. So this time you choose the customer ID, but this time, as I told you, you have to just remove the missing values. So if you see only missing value match, so only choose the row that has the missing value, and what you have to do, exclude the row by attribute value. Other than that, you have row numbers, row ID. Here we just want to focus on the missing values and exclude those attribute values, and you give apply, you give OK. See, it becomes OK. Now right click and execute. It's quickly done. Now we can see the filtered one. So you could see the customer IDs are good. So again, I'm repeating, guys, the important point is, as you could see the number of rows, it's almost 35,400 and 354,340 rows, or it's like 3,54,000. So imagine this much rows you have to work in Excel. You can imagine the time that it takes for you to complete this task. So you can see how feasible it is to work with this package. The next is, let us move on to the next missing value here. So here also we have a missing value, which is in terms of quantity. So as you know, it has a customer ID, it has all the information except the quantity. So most of the case it is missed while entering the data. So the best scenario what we can do is, this is a missing value. So we can try to come up with the following things. Either we can use the mean, median, mode, maximum value, minimum value, or we can take the interpolation or the frequently used value for this given setup and try to fill this missing value. That's very important, and we cannot remove this because it has the customer data for sure. So we cannot just delete this. We have to retain it and try to find these missing values. So as I told you, the values are missing. So the next thing, as you know, how can you search it? It should be missing values. Missing values. See, the first one itself is the missing values. You click it, you get it, and you can see it's already yellow, but you have to still configure it. Once you go inside this menu, you have the default option, which we need not do anything. Next, go to the column settings. In column settings, now we are focusing on the quantity. Once you select this, it asks you to add. Once you add this, it will ask you which option you want. So you do nothing, you fix value, linear interpolation, maximum, mean, median. Like this, I told you all the values are there. So I'm just going with the mean or the median. So I'm going with the median. I apply, I give OK. As it's yellow and right click, I give it for execute. It executes, that's ready. Let us see the output table. As you could see now, all the values are replaced and you can see it's perfect. So from this, what you understand is when you have a missing value, we can easily get it done. So next, let me try a different problem for a practitioner perspective. Imagine these each of this description as a data which is related to a warehouse. So, and they have an invoice date. So, imagine a boss comes to you and asks, okay, choose this invoice date and tell me what is the invoice number 544612 and tell me the status of it, like when it reached our warehouse and how long it has been in our warehouse. So, basically, what we can do is we can try to use the time difference, like when it arrived, and we can compare it with a given period of time. So in this case, I'm going to compare it today's date, which is to today's session, and try to see how much time this product is been laying in the warehouse. So what you can do is here again. So the same option. Remember, we just want to know the time and date difference. So we can take date and time. And we need to know the difference. So you can see date and time shift, input, widget, create, range, string, time, date and time difference. See, as simple as it is. If you click it, you get it here. You just move it and link it to this. And whenever if you move it, the link stays forever. And if you right click and configure, so by default, the invoice date will be chosen because of the way the data has been entered. So next thing is calculate the difference too. So you have the second column, current execution date and time. It will be like what is the present time, and you'll try to mix link it with that, or it's like a fixed date and time that you can give, or the previous row. And how do you want the output in terms of week, days, hours, minutes, second, milliseconds, and nanoseconds? You just want to keep it simple and let us go with months. Either it's like a granularity, like how much is it, or you want in terms of time and duration. So, and I'm going to give the new column name, which is already default. It's available there. So you can just choose it and give apply and give OK. You see, you get the date and time difference ready and it's yellow. And if you give execute, quickly get it. So now you try to go to the output table. You see the date and time differences here. So for example, for the first row, for the first product, for almost 34 months, the product is there in our warehouse. So you can try to find which are the hidden traps or the hidden inventory in our warehouse, and we can give more attention to those aspects. So this is a very simple way. And the next thing is, imagine you are starting to do the analysis. For example, if you take this data, imagine you have the unit price for every product and you have the quantity. So from this, let us say you want to calculate the profit. Profit is nothing but calculating the multiplying the unit price with the quantity. So in this case, we need to know some analysis. So it's basically the math formula. So math, and you can see the formula here. So if you click it, you get the math formula. Right click and configure. So in this, it basically works on expression. So just I'm going to choose the quantity and the unit price. That's it. So by default, it gets multiplied and append a column. Append column is what you want to save this information in a new column. I'm going to give it as profit. And you see it's ready. And everything is set. And I give apply. I give OK. You can see the math formula now it turns into yellow, and right click execute. It gets executed. You can see the output data. So next to the time and difference column, which is newly done, you can see also a new column, which is nothing but the profit. So quickly we are able to get the profit for all the given almost 354,000 rows of data. We are able to calculate this. So the next aspect, as we want to have the little flavor of machine learning. In machine learning, usually there are two aspects, guys. Data. So data has to be classified in based of two aspects. One is 70-30. That is 70% of the data is being used for analyzing, and another 30% of the data is used for testing. Okay, so analyzing in terms of training the given problem, and the balance 30% is used for testing. So in order to do that, either you can manually go and do it, which is very cumbersome. Imagine you have to calculate all the 70% for this 354,000. So which is nothing but, if you imagine, if you go to the calculator, 354,340 into 0.7, which is almost 2480387. So what you can do is, this many you have to categorize as 70% for developing the testing model, and balance 30% will be, sorry, 70% for the training model, and balance 30% will be the testing model. Okay, so in order to do this, there is a very simple option. So we want to partition it into 70-30, right? So there is an option called partitioning. You could see it's readily available here. So if we move it to here, it will link it to this. So right click configure. So by default, it will be 70%. You can choose take from the top, that's the first 70% of the rows, or the linear sampling, or draw randomly, or stratified sample. But in my case, I'm just going to with random, and then give apply and give OK. Now it's hello, and I execute it. Once I execute it, you can see the partitioning first and second. So first partitioning is 248037, which is almost equal to 248038. So you can see how quickly we're able to categorize them into the two different aspects. And the balance, as you know, this is the second part, the remaining, which is nothing but around 106303 rows. So quickly we're able to classify them for any machine learning based prediction. So next, once you've done this, now we have cleaned the data using the row filtering options and the missing value options, as well as the data and time difference. Then we use the math formula to analyze them. Then we do the partitioning, and we are able to get the data. Now let us, once you get the data, now next thing is what we need to export them back to Excel. So for import, we used read. For export, we'll give them write. Excel writer. Once you click this, you see Excel writer is here in the IO option. Choose Excel writer. Since there will be two files, one is for the 70% and another one is for 30%, you can have it, you can cut, copy, paste them. So link them. So you have to configure. So here again, please specify a location. So I'm going to take the space. So it is exercise 1. Exercise 1. And it is 70% for exercise 1. Save, and don't forget add column header. So if you forget that, it will not be there. And if you don't want some columns, you can exclude them. You just select them and exclude them like this. But I just want to retain everything. And you give apply, I give OK, it's done. So same thing again with Excel reader, configure. Please specify a location. So for the same exercise, 30%. You save it. So once it's done, you give the column header. Now the options are available. Give apply, give OK. Now it's done. So you can select both and then try to execute both. And it's quickly executed. It's done, it's ready. It's done, it's ready. Now if you go to the location, you can see exercise 1 30%, exercise 1 70%. If you click it open, you can see all the data are readily available. So this is the invoice data, invoice stock, quantity, unit price, country, date and time, as well as the profit. So quickly we are able to get all the required data for the given problem and categorize them according to the needs. But imagine the benefit of such application is, now once you have done this, if you click file save, it will be always saved here in repository, and you can give the project any name that you like. Now suddenly a box comes and tells, give me the data for Spain. So it's very simple. All you have to do is, you have got the input file, so you need not touch anything here. But in the row here, you remember we chose United Kingdom. So instead of here, go to configure and country, instead of going to choose Spain and apply. And it will ask, we want to do the same setting for all the nodes, yes. And you give okay. Now you see it's yellow. So you can select all and right click execute. So all gets executed. Here you cannot execute. The reason is you have to again give the path where you want to save the things. So example, file, save. So this time I'm giving the instead of 70, yeah, it's a 70%. I give Spain, save, apply. Now it goes. Okay, and for this again I configure, choose the location, I browse it. So this for this 30%, but this is for Spain. I give save, I give apply and give okay. Now you see I can select this both and execute. So both are executed. Let me go and check. And you see we have the exercise 1 30% for Spain and exercise 1 70% for Spain. If you click it, you can get the data for Spain. So this is the real benefit of this, guys. You need not repeat the entire flow once you have developed it. Then all you have to do is based on your requirements or based on your agenda, you can configure each of the node to get your relevant output, guys. So this is how we try to do this aspect for the machine learning for this given problem. So next we'll focus on predictive modeling. Okay, that will be a new exercise. I'll start on with the new exercise, but before that, let me summarize. We have an input file. So in order to get an input file, we choose the Excel reader and always remember the signal. So it will be read with the exclamatory mark showing it requires your attention. So once you go inside, you can configure it. After it configured, it becomes yellow. Then if you right click and execute, it becomes green. Then for any given problem, as I highlighted, there are very simple options which are directly given in the options or the command that you require, like filtering, missing, time difference, math formula, and partitioning. You'll get the corresponding icons or the node for each of the functions. You can call them and use them. Then finally, you can export them into an Excel file using this. So in this way, as you could see, it takes a lot of, doesn't take a lot of time, and it's a short learning curve and it's quite easy. And third is, this is a very important, this flow chart is now created as a template for any application that you want to do it again and again. So all you have to do is just reconfigure with the other Excel file that you want for a new application, and you can run the same function and it will work flawless. So this is the benefit of it. The next, we are going to do a simple regression model. So let me start on that. So again, I go file new. I choose a new name workflow. Next. So I'm choosing it as a regression model. I give finish. So as you see, the new workflow is done. So again, I start with the Excel reader. In the Excel reader, if you choose, it asks you what is a file. So right click, configure. So this time I browse. So let us focus on the second exercise. So exercise 2. So in this, if you choose the exercise, this is about a prediction of accident. So here, like we're trying to predict. So here the criteria are given, guys. If a person is survived, so 0 means the person has not survived. 1 means the person has survived. Then passenger name, passenger gender, passenger number. It is like a male and female. So we categorized female as 0 and male as 1. Age in years, sibling and spouse. That means they have any brother and sisters during their travel, and there's a parent or child, and which class they travel, whether in the first class, second, or the third class, and the passenger fare and port of embarkation. These are the basic data. So like I told you, you have to choose this row number 1 column. Second is the sheet. Here the data is in the sheet 1. As you could see, it changes. It's NR is no red issue is there. So you apply, you give OK. Now it's ready and it can be used further. So you can right click and execute. And you can see now we got the output table ready for your analysis. So what we're trying to do here is we're going to do a basic logistic regression. So let me first categorize them into 2 different components using the partitioning node. So partitioning, you have the 7030, and you see the rows are 1046. So I go to the partitioning. I choose the partitioning and get it selected. So as you can see now it is ready and it can be configured. So I configure it. So as usual, I use the 70% and I choose randomly. I give apply, I give okay. Now it's been configured. Now I execute. It's ready. So for the logistic regression, always you can start with a very simple logistic first. As a machine learning, first you need to learn it. So for the logistic regression, first we have the learner. Then we use the predictor. So for the learner, once it is selected, right click, go inside, let us configure it. So first thing is our y variable, guys. In a logistic regression, our outcome variable is y variable. So y variable is whether the people have survived or not. So if they have survived, so you can see 0 is they are not survived, 1 is they have survived. You can take they have survived as a reference. Next, it has a built-in solver. It has a built-in solver, but you can choose the solver as iteratively reweight least square because this is a robust one when compared to the stochastic. Then what are the variables? Once you've selected your y variable, we can focus on the x variables that you want, x1 and x2. So let us take all the variables that are not needed and move it here. And let us include the relevant one. So we can include the gender, you can include the age, you can include the sibling, spouse, class, and the parent-child ratio. So with this, we can try to predict whether they have survived the accident or not survived the accident. So these are my x variables and this is my y variable. And here I kept my reference, that is like they have survived as 1. So again, I'm repeating, for a logistic regression, we get an output in terms of 0 and 1, okay, because we don't get a curve, we get a straight line from a probability point of view. So that's why we have it here. And in this, in order to predict my y outcome variable, we have the following x variables, and we have included that for my analysis. When I apply, I give okay. See, it's yellow and ready, and right click, I execute. Once I execute, I can see what is my coefficient and statistics for the given things. So as I told you, right, I can see the p-values, I can say the z-score, standardized error, coefficient variables for each of the given variables and their logit value. So all these things are given here. Next, I can see the modeling and learning properties. So in 5 iteration, the regression model is able to complete itself. And I can see the log of likelihood. So next is, imagine guys, from a 70-30 rule, using 70% of the data, I develop my regression model, which is now trained. Now, so this blue one, try to link it with the next predictor one. So this will give the training aspects. And the 30% of the data that is already here available from the partitioning is given as an input. Again, I'm repeating, guys, we have the data, we classified them into 70-30. It is not mandatory just to keep it as 70 and 30, but from most of the research and the reference material, it is suggested that 70-30 is a better ratio, but still there is an approach called K-cross validation, where you can try to find the best combination. But if I take you deeper into that, it's more confusing. To keep it simple, have it as 70 and 30, where 70% is always given to training. So that's what the regression model learner has done it. We made it to learn it. Now the balancing 30% is given to the predictor. So the findings from the learner is linked to the predictor. That's the blue icon. Whereas the 30% data from the partitioning is linked to the logistic regression predictor. So as you could see, once it's linked, it's yellow, it's ready. Right click and let us configure it. So here we want to append the column with the predicted values or custom. Let us put a new column append and we can put it as survivor or survive. And give apply. Okay. Now it's yellow, it's ready, so I can give it for execute. It's been executed and you can see the predicted data. Let us see what his output is. Based on the prediction, guys, this is a prediction we have it. The prediction survived and P is the survived. I have put the given name of survived. So this is in terms of the values, percentage values, and in terms of the output, whether it is 1 or 0. So as you could see from the historical data, first person has survived. So our prediction also says the person has survived. But you see the second one, the first person has actually survived, but here it shows he has died. So here it shows it died and it is correct, but here you see it's okay, it's correct, but here you see there is a difference. So what I'm trying to say is our prediction may not be accurate. So this is where the question comes, how much accurate is your prediction? So in order to know this, we have to calculate something called the confusion matrix, from which we can identify the accuracy of your predictions. So that's the next thing I am to do. So what are you going to do? You're going to compare two columns and try to get a score. So you can use the value of scorer. You can see it's already available here. If you click the scorer, it will be here. So if you can link it, again it asks you to configure. So because configuring is, it's very simple, guys. So first, what you're going to compare the actual historical data of what survived, and the second one is what we have predicted. It's the prediction. We're going to just compare these two. As there is no any missing value, we can just ignore it and we can apply and give okay, it's yellow. And right click and you give execute. Once you execute, it's ready. So let us see the first the confusion matrix. Okay, there are two ways to view it. So this is a confusion matrix. So this concept is quite simple, guys, but in simple words, you see the row ID 0 to 0, 1 to 1. So this one is true positive. Next one is the true negative. The second one is the false positive and false negative. That is, imagine out of 165 prediction, the people have died and the prediction is also right. But again, in another case, out of 34 prediction, actually the people have survived. That's what the output says, but actually the people have died. So that is an error. There is 34 people who are actually died, but the prediction showed they were survived. Next, come to the in terms of survival. So if you take 27 people, they actually were shown dead, but no, they actually survived. And if you take 88 people have survived and 88 people have shown survived. So this is correct. So you could see the true positive and the true negative are the right one, as well as the you can see the false positive and false negative. So this shows the confusion matrix. And also to give a better idea about the confusion matrix, you can see the view confusion matrix. Here actually the variables can be clearly seen. So you can see this upper column is the prediction survived, and this row is the survived with our actual historical data. You can see how many classification has been done, how many wrong classification has been done. So from this, you can see the accuracy of our prediction, how much is the error. So as you see, the error is too much in our data. This shows that we have to minimize the error. And also it gives the kappa value. Kappa value in simple terms, it should be more than 0.7. In our case, it is almost 0.58. So this shows more prediction is required in our model, or we have to think of a different classification. Or the third one is you have to increase the number of data. We had around 1,000 data points, but you have to increase the data points more to complete this prediction. And also in terms of reporting, in terms of in a journal point of view for researchers, so you can get all the values like the true positive, false positive, true negative, and false positive, recall, precision, sensitivity, specificity, F means, accuracy, and K value for the Kaplan. So this is how the output you get. And finally, as usual, you can take the output of this matrix into an Excel writer and get the output. So in this way, we can complete this regression model. So again, I'm explaining, guys, you have an Excel reader where you can take the input. Then for any typical machine learning, what we try to do is we try to classify the data into two different ratios. I take the 70-30 ratio, which is widely followed in most of the data science application. So 70% is taken to train the data, which is a node that is known as the logistic regression learner, which learns from the 70% of the data. So once it learns, you get an output. So from this blue icon, the blue link that indicates it can be linked to the logistic regression predictor. And whereas the minimum 30% is there, right? So the 30% is given as the test data to test a given model. So once we test a given model, we get an output that is a predicted data, which we have it here. So we can have the prediction very quickly and we can tell what is our prediction for a given problem. So, but there will be variation with the historical data. So we may not know what is the accuracy or the error in our prediction. So for that, we use a scorer. And from the scorer, we try to identify from the confusion matrix, how much of the actual prediction is correct. That is, this is death and it is same. The survival rate was not there. Whereas here, actually, the people, they say it survived, but no, they didn't survive. This is a mistake, and here again it is a mistake, and here it is a mistake. This is your true positive and true negative, again false positive and false negative. And based on this, we also get the accuracy of the statistical aspect. And as I told you, even though the accuracy high is almost 80% is accuracy of a prediction, correspondingly our error values also are high. So we have to make sure that the error values are reduced. In order to reduce the error value, either we can try increasing the sample size, or we can increase the way the evaluation is done. For example, it go to the partition configure. Instead of taking randomly, imagine choose take from the top, apply, and give OK. So again it will run. So again the nodes will run. So let us select all everything and try to run it. Let us see what is the output here we got. So predicted output, it's there. Okay, and let us see how much is the okay, here the confusion matrix. See, last time we had 165, now it is 160. And you see, even the accuracy has reduced, and even the error has increased. And even the K value is also increased, it's been reduced. So from this, what you understand, like it differs based on the data points. So as you can know, to get a better prediction, this is an evidence says that we need more number of data points, and accordingly we can get the analysis done. So these are the overall aspects for this nine guys. A very simple exercise. So, and from a point of view, what I want to discuss here is we discussed about the cleaning process, and the second one is the developing a simple prediction with an ML point of view. And the last aspect I just want to summarize before I close is this the main objective here, guys. We try to learn and try to understand something is like there are a lot of tools available. The best thing is everybody is anxious to learn a lot of new tools, but the here main thing is what is the value you create from the tool rather than what you learn from the tool. So the art here is you have to unlearn some things after some period of time. So this line is almost like giving you the flavor of data science, but learning this doesn't going to solve all the issues. And second thing is you should have the mindset to unlearn new things and relearn new things. So those are new to this, don't feel bad, and you may have a lot of errors in the beginning when you try. And since due to the time constraint, we try to make it quick as possible. And I try to ensure that you can do the best in the future with this package. But always remember, the agenda here is to make you more agile. Agile in the sense is making more robust and adaptive. This package is a quite easy, open source, and it can be installed in any laptops. And it doesn't require much time to learn and start with your projects. So it will be very handy for a beginning researchers or the faculty who do their research, and those who doesn't want to have core expertise in machine learning but still needs to do the machine learning based application. And it is very helpful in a lot of ways. You can develop a visualization, you can develop a web based application, and also it has a lot of tutorials in YouTube which you can explore it later. And I hope it will give you more insights for your problem and help you in all your projects. Thanks a lot. Shukran, merci, bon courage.
Thank you so much, Professor Raja. Professor Raja, we have a couple of doubts. Can you see the doubts in the chat box?
Yeah, Mr. Kishore, in order to thank you, Mr. Kishore, for attending the session. I can see the question. In order to work out efficiently, one should have the knowledge of NIME analytics software as well as statistics, or you should have the knowledge of statistics. This is a good question, Mr. Kishore, but my suggestion is, see, in terms of statistics, you have to focus on one aspect, nature of the data and the given problem to you, and what the data is planning to do. So for example, if you take a regression model, you have to know how a regression model is done and what are the errors that you may get and what are the actual output you should focus in the regression model. So if you know the problem that you're going to evaluate, I think you can keep the statistical aspect very simple and easily. Thank you, Professor Arif, for your positive comments. Thank you, Pushpa ma'am, for your positive feedback. Is there any other doubts, guys, that I may address?
Raja, if you scroll, Professor Raja, if you can scroll up, you can see a lot of comments are there. There is a professor called R.S. Kiran. He has been putting a lot of comments. Can you address some of his comments?
Okay, I'll quickly check on this. Okay, Mr. Kiran. Okay. Yes, for Shraddha ma'am, the video will be available in YouTube. You can take it later. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. Some of you have a question: how to download this software? I think you can see my screen, right? Matthew sir, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
So if
Look.
you go to this
Yes.
Nine website, guys, you can actually have the option to download this. It has all the three different versions that is universally applicable. That is Windows, Linux, and Mac. It is around 500 MB, but you can just download it. It is a 64-bit software, guys. So there is a point of advice. When, guys, this is an important point. Please note this down. When your operating system is 32-bit software, 32-bit, you cannot run it smoothly because the application is a 64-bit. So you have to go check this in your software. I can just show it to you how. If you go to your system, right click your PC in the properties, you can quickly see what is your operating system and its capability. And here you could see what is the bit. It is a 64-bit operating system. So make sure you have the same thing in your case.
Professor Raja, there is one doubt.
Yeah,
Jyoti, participant Jyoti.
yeah,
Can you see the comment?
I'm quickly checking it.
Yeah, she's quoting that to demonstrate plotting of a graph using this particular software.
Nine. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Ma'am, it's very, I think, Miss Jyoti, ma'am, it's very, very easy and it's very user friendly. As you could have seen what I've done it. There are applications that you have, but the problem is what output you're going to get. So for you can use the same like ggplots. There is a exclusive data visualization link that you can do it with this. And there are a lot of online tutorial provided by NIME itself in YouTube for just data visualization. And you can do, ma'am. They have a lot of data visualization tools for this.
Uh,
Okay.
Professor Raja, another doubt is there. Could we use the software for STEM, triple M science, technology, engineering, mathematics, management, medical field as well?
Actually, this software is applicable across all field, my dear friends. It's apply wherever you have data science. You have any, you see, I'll just give it to you in a very simple term, guys. You have a group of data. From this, you have to develop some insights. Irrespective of the domain, we call it a STEM, science, technology, engineering, management. In that, all the things are covered, apart from medical science. All has a basic problem. So most of the medical problem will be like in terms of prediction. So it can do prediction. And in terms of IT or systems or engineering, you have more of prescriptive, developing web-based application. Web-based application is, imagine you can do the same software that I did now as a workflow and take an output as a web application and share it to anybody. So NIME is capable of doing that. So it is also applicable. So there is no restriction and you can use it. Professor Kiran, you need a manual for this. Please do visit the website. They have an exclusive manual and they also have a book on this, which also highly talks about the interusability. To give a point and note to all of you guys, it is also, you can link this software with R programming. So imagine some of you have already done some projects in R. You can just link this NIME package with your R package and it will work flawless.
Uh,
Yes.
Professor Raja, there is another doubt. How do
Yeah.
we know exactly what is to be selected from the node repository?
Okay.
If I want correlation, how do I know what name has been given to the repository for correlation?
See, guys, okay, it's a good question. See, what I wanted to give you here is like the flavor. So you just use the English word, like for example, correlation. Correlation will be under the math formula and manipulation. So manipulation is you want to add, subtract, and you do all related aspects. You have to manipulate the data, right? So you can find those things under the manipulation repositories. So for some options, you cannot just use the common words, but for most of the option, if you use the common word, you will get the node. Yeah. Then also you can check this in the help menu. We have an help menu in the package, which you can check for the operations that you need. Yeah. Then for sure, I'll share the resource to all of you guys. To Professor Manish, Sulaiman, we can share. We can import other types of file. Yeah. To answer to Mr. Sulaiman, if you go to the read, you have a lot of options. You can take input data and you can do all the aspects. And also you can even input image file in this. But based on your application, you can try to do it. And yeah, again, this video will be available in YouTube, guys, so you can refer it whenever you like. So is there anything else? Yeah.
Some of our participants have mentioned, is there any other free open source tools for data analytics? They are
Yes,
asking.
guys, I've already mentioned to you, but my suggestion is you can start with the Nime. Nime is very user friendly and it's very easy. Next, you can focus also on Exploratory, which is a new software which is coming from Japan, exploratory.io. Exploratory.io has a different agenda. So based on your usage, it's quite different and it's slightly different when you use it. It's more of point click. The highlight of a Nime is you can visualize a workflow which makes things easy for you, and it's also easy for anybody to understand. Imagine you send a Nine file to anybody, they can quickly understand what you've done. Whereas if you take any drop click applications, unless you walk through them the entire process, they may not understand what you've done. So that is the very big difference, guys. Again, I'm repeating, in a Nine the workflow can be shared to anybody who can quickly understand what you have done. But in other open source software, there is no workflow or any of this flow chart, so which makes it little difficult for the people to understand. And you have to also give them the overall highlights. And Subhani ma'am, you are right. You need more training on this aspect. Yeah, I know, but as the time is permit. And Mr. Janathi asked, what is the difference from SP? See, again, he should understand what I'm trying to say here. See, SPSS is more focused on developing analysis. Okay, as you know, statistical process for software packages. It has the basic functionality of your survey related data, where you have any model developed based on your independent and dependent model and try to validate it. Whereas in the Nine, we have holistic application. We have the data science application, that is the descriptive analysis, and then we focus on the prescriptive as well as the predictive, also the visualization as well as web-based application. So it is all, let's like a buffet. It has every option that you need for a small business to a good research aspects to all the applications in the data science. So it is quite powerful when compared to SPSS. Yeah, like Mr. Kilto, we can export other files. You can explore them in the read. Yeah. Anything else, sir?
Just a few participants were saying that is while no, this when we view in mobile, it is the description is not very strong. Is it because of this a particular tool?
Sorry, I didn't get you. What do you mean by viewed in mobile?
No, well, they were viewing this presentation in the mobile, but they are not able
Um,
to.
yeah, obvious. If it's in laptop, it's very easy to and flawless to see, but in mobile, it's constrained. You cannot see most of the options. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Then there is another doubt, sir. Can we apply SEM mediation moderation where variables measures on scale?
Guys, you can do all kind of survey analysis as well as in terms of mediation and moderation, which is nothing but your path analysis. You can do that, but I would suggest you can go with the PLS, which is quite easy because in terms of a journal publication, there is standard output presentation that they require. For example, if you start with the measurement model and structural model, from a measurement model perspective, you need to calculate the table which highlights the convergent variety, discriminant variety, Cronbach alpha value, as well as the VFI, internal VFI and external VFI, also the model fit, and the PLS diagram which highlights the structural model, then also the acceptance as well as the hypothesis validation, and also the Q score, R score value. So all these things are very easy as already pre-built a template in a PLS. It can be done in Nine, but it is very cumbersome and it takes more time. So for survey-based analysis, so imagine you want to do a survey analysis. After doing a survey, you can extend a survey to a machine learning-based prediction. So imagine you have two parts of a study. One part is survey, second part is machine learning. Nine could be very helpful in this case, but just to analyze a mediation and moderation, you can do in Nine, but I would suggest better go with any PLS-based application because it has already the needed output and the templates are quite easy for you to complete in a short time. Yeah.
Last few doubts, sir. For a business analyst, is it not necessary to also have knowledge for Python and R apart from this
Yeah,
particular
that's a
software?
good question. See, when if you take Python and PyTorch, mainly the PyTorch library functions, if you take, so what you're going to develop is what very important here. So for example, most of the applications are started developed online, and you get the repository in GitHub and Kaggle. So based on this, you use it for a open source repositories for any problem. But imagine, a standalone problem, or a problem which is not very interlinked, or it is in a silo, which is limited functionality, but still it's a reoccurring. You can quickly go for a scenario where you can focus on nine. Whereas Python and R is more universally linked, and it requires actually a system expert to understand the aspects. So it's like I said, it's a flavor to data science. The people who just want to use data science for a day-to-day aspect, that's all very simply. For example, like Ms. Bhavana Srinivasan has said, if there's a scope of syncing with the GA for revenue analysis, yes, ma'am, they have an API for that. You have to go into the option in the preference and set it. And it's very easy and user friendly when you link it with R rather than other applications. So that's what my suggestion would be. To summarize the other person's question, the data scientist, yeah, this is an eye opener for how easy the data science can be. But for an expert, do you have to go for the Python and R? It's your individual perception and learning. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gowri, for your positive feedback. Is the caution we have to keep in mind. In terms of machine learning, always remember, how do you develop the confusion matrix? So confusion matrix, if it's correct, and ROC curve. So those are the aspects, then it will be very nice. And Mr. Jublian Kumar Saini, you asked me PLS is paid. Yeah, there is something called Warp PLS, which is free, and you can still do the same aspect as a smart PLS. And Ms. Subhani Shakya, you asked, is there any disadvantage of it? Yes, ma'am. E-software has a disadvantage of it, but frankly, I'm saying, based on the short learning time, application, user friendliness, and the power of doing the prescriptive, predictive, and also the descriptive analysis, I don't see this software as more disadvantage. It's more user friendly, and it's quite quick and easy for application, man. That will be more easier when compared. So I would say all the pros are underweighs the cons of this package. Yes.
I think, yeah, that is all the comments which we have.
Okay.
So we have come to the end of this session. I would like to thank Professor Rajashree for giving us an opportunity to help us to learn KIME and visualize the data and predictive modeling. A wonderful effort in terms of telling us the basics and going ahead with the practical session approach. Though many learners are slow enough, but yes, we can always follow it. And you have given a eye opener session to us. Thank you so much. Uh, uh, um, my gratitude to you, sir, and I'm very thankful to the head of the department, Dr. Sandeep Shenoy, who has spared his time for inaugurating the session. And I also thank our organizer, Dr. Vikram Balika, the coordinator, Become Programs, for being a part of this program. I thank my DOC team, faculty team, in initiating and helping us in conducting this webinar session. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the participants from all over the world. We are so surprised that we have 37 countries participating in it, and it was such a pleasure to see the participants putting their registrations, and we are happy that we had at least roughly 360 participants live attending this session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raja sir, for your valuable input.
So if you don't mind, there's a quickly two questions I just want to answer it. So Ms. Aishwarya
Yes.
has asked, why didn't we do the regression learner for 30% data? So madam, see, when we use the 70% data, we use that 70% data to learn the model. Okay, so already the model is learned. Okay, so what we can do with the balance 30% is to test the model. So imagine you also use the 30% model to learn, then what will be remaining for you to test the data? So this is important. In machine learning, you have something as a part of data for initially training or learning, and the remaining is for testing. So that's how you have to classify it. So that's why we had 70% for the learning and we used it, whereas the 30% can directly used for the prediction. And one more person, Mr. Pranav, has asked me, what is the difference between a data scientist and business analysis? See, business analysis and data scientist is more same. If you just focus on different projects and develop a day-to-day insights and develop reports and create presentation, you're a business analyst. But if you just focus on a package and try to develop outputs based on a package, and it is a package related domain, it is more focused on as a data analysis profile. That's it. Yeah, sorry. Thanks a lot for all of you being a wonderful participant. All of you can do, if you have any queries, you can do write to me in LinkedIn. I will be happy to reply back to you. And also, I thank Professor Matthew for organizing such a wonderful event, which was very fruitful for all of you. And I would like to thank Mr. Shanai S. Sandeep. He was a great mentor for all of us, and organized this program in a very good manner. And obviously, Mr. Mikram Bachia. All these members and the faculty members of the Manipal Academy of Higher Education, they have done a great job in organizing such a wonderful event. And I hope to see a lot of things for you people in the greater future. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great
Thank you
day.
so, yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Dr. Raja. Participants, or the feedback link is already been sent, and I hope you would have filled it. So only the participants who are filling it from this chat options only will be eligible for the e-certificates. And please wait for 2 to 4 days for the e-certificates to be sent to your email. So thank you so much for patiently in listening the webinar, attending, and getting certain insights. Yeah, we would be conducting some more sessions in this area, and whenever we are ready with the session, we will let you all know, because we have your database, and we would appreciate whenever we conduct. Please do join. Thank you so much. Thank you.